Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Catron, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
Not much at all, Mike.
How you feeling lately, Tyler? I got a couple questions for you to start out the podcast.
How am I feeling?
How you been feeling lately?
Well, I mean, I'm feeling pretty strong. I guess pretty good.
Really?
How are you feeling?
You're
Yeah.
feeling pretty strong, pretty good? Because
Yep.
that's surprising me because if you go to the Watch the Boxes Listener League, it looks like you're gonna lose the league, Tyler.
Oh,
I'm
on
up on
now.
you in the league. I'm in first
yeah, but
place,
it's only
and I'm up on you
it's only
halfway through the
Wednesday.
week.
It's only Wednesday. I'm gonna crush you tomorrow because I got lots of guys playing and you got nobody.
Oh, I should go. Ooh, I should go look at that. Yeah, this week is the much anticipated Tyler
listen to
versus
this.
Mike head to head.
You talking trash. You're beating me by one assist, and that is winning you the week right now. One measly assist.
Listen, that's how I gotta win. That's how I gotta win.
Well, guess what? You better enjoy. I just picked up Rondo off the waivers, so you better watch your back, son.
That was good. That was a good pickup. I think he'll play next month. It doesn't look like tomorrow's a bad day for most teams, but
yeah, there's only two games, right?
there's only
it's a
two
TNT
games.
special, so
It's kind of a hard thing. I mean, this is a good opportunity to maybe talk about head to head, like what you do in the middle of the week during head to head. A little bit of strategy talk here, especially in a week like this where there's only a couple games. So, Tyler, you're down, like I said, but you're down a point. You're down one assist. And in this league, there's about 5 pickups per week. Not that I'm trying to make you give away what you're going to do so I can counter you, because that might or might not be what I'm doing right now. But what moves are you going to make for the rest of the week here, looking at this deficit? Are you going to let it play out? Are you gonna pick up some players?
well, I mean, I talk about this a lot in my schedule primer article. I'm always trying to maximize my games. I think that's kind of the easiest way to win a head-to-head matchup. I'm in a really precarious position in this, in the sense that I'm winning turnovers barely and I'm losing assists barely. So if I go too heavy on assist guys, I'm probably going to lose turnovers. So really the category I'm focusing on winning is rebounds. I'm about 20 rebounds down. I'm going to try to make up that deficit. By just kind of sneakily picking up rebounds and maybe be replacing on Friday when there's a ton of games. I might replace some of my guards in my utility spot with some bigger forwards or centers that are going to get me some more rebounds to try to win the week there.
I like that. I think that's a pretty good baseline to start your head-to-head strategy. Is to, you drafted a pretty good team, and most people listening to this podcast, I would assume you drafted a pretty good team as well, because looking at how this year has started, we've been a little bit more right than a little more wrong, and that's been positive so far. We were high on Ricky Rubio, we were high on Oladipo, we were high on Aaron Gordon, and all those guys are off to pretty solid starts, but you want to let that team that you drafted, produce, right? So for the first couple days, I don't like to make too many moves. I'll maybe pick up a guy to play on a slow day, just with one of my pickups. But by midweek, that's when you should be starting to adjust your roster and starting to maximize those transactions that you have for the week. And this, I think this is a strategy for if you're in a limited transaction, which if you're playing head to head, I really do think you should limit the transactions per week, because there are just a bunch of guys out there who, if there's an infinite amount of transactions, they'll just pick up and drop like, half their team. And to me, that's a managerial game. That's not really a fantasy game to me.
Well, then it's just like daily fantasy, right? Just drafting a whole, like half a new roster every day. Like, I'll just cut this guy. And the shallower the league, the more you can get away with that, right? Because the waiver wire, there's plenty of options if you're in like an 8-10 team league out there where you can get some pretty good stats and just kind of cycle through. Obviously, the deeper the league gets, which is kind of one of the reasons I like to play in deeper leagues. Like, Okay, you can try to do that, but on the waiver wire, there's guys playing like 10 minutes a game. You got your Willie Hernan Gomez's and your
Oh, I see that. I hate deep leagues because I don't want to care about Willie Hernan Gomez. I do not care about you, Willie Hernan. I don't
that's
care.
the thing. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is you probably stick more with your
Teach
team
their
just
own.
because it's like, you know what I mean? I don't want Willie Hernan Gomez at 7 minutes on my roster. Like, that's not helping me any.
Yeah, and I like to have an active waiver wire, and I think standard leagues, the 12 teams, 13 roster spots, does allow for a decent amount of streaming, and you have to be a little bit knowledgeable when you're streaming. And I like your strategy of saying, all right, what am I close in, right? And being 20 rebounds off isn't really a lot of rebounds. That's like, two really good rebounders. So not only would you maybe look for a rebounder on the waiver wire who might be playing 2 games for the rest of the week versus, or maybe even 3 games for the rest of the week versus someone on your team who maybe only has 1 game left. That's usually a pretty good strategy. And I'm not going to drop any of my top 70 players, but if I have like Frank Kaminsky sitting down near the bottom of my team, and he's only got 1 game this week, yeah, he's going to probably give me a few rebounds. But there's probably better players out there and more games. That's just a better way to maximize the games played for that week.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always just plentiful guys available in that 12-team league, right? That are one category specialists, right? Because no one really wants to roster a Tyson Chandler who's going to get you some good rebounds, but not a lot else. So those types are kind of usually available.
Yeah, Tyson Chandler becomes more valuable as the week goes on, as you see how your matchups are actually panning out. And I also like your strategy of saying, I got some of these days are actually really packed. You're going to be benching guys who are playing for probably the first time, and trying to focus on more rebound centric guys later in the week during those days makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes we try to overthink it, right? Like, oh man, this guy, I drafted him to be my 8th starter, my 9th starter. I have to start him. Well, there's like, no, I mean, there's no rules. If you need rebounds, and that guy's a point guard. It's a George Hill. Then you probably don't want to start George Hill. You probably want to start someone who's going to get you rebounds because you need to win rebounds to win the week. So, don't overthink it.
Do you take into account matchup as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, I told this to a lot of people at the beginning of the season. What I like to do is, whether you use Mark's rankings, which is what I personally use, or you use Basketball Monster, or whoever you use, you just take a set of projections, and I'll put his team, and I got to look at his team and try to decide who's going to actually play in the games, right? So, like, he's going to have some players he usually benches, at least some this week. So I'll put that in a spreadsheet. I'll go day by day, fill in the games for both teams, and I'll kind of see where I'm at the beginning of the week based on per game averages. Now, obviously, there's going to be crazy games. There's going to be horrible games, so it's not a perfect thing, but I can kind of say, okay, Mike and I are going to be close in assists and in steals. So I'm going to try to pick up for the week guys who are going to get me assists and steals because those are the 2 categories that need to push me over, Mike.
That's a pretty good strategy. You better not do it, but it is a very good idea when you're playing head-to-head to manage your each week individually and let the week come to you. Don't try to force anything. And you could kind of look at the other guy's roster and say, like, oh, he's got some really good bigs and not very good guards. Maybe I should focus on bigs so I can compete. But I don't think you should try to predict the future. Just to let the week come to you.
Yeah, and I mean, right, and we talk about this during the draft, right? You always change your strategy up midweek. Maybe you thought you were going to win assists, but you had, I don't know, Dennis Smith Jr., and he's missed the first 2 of his 4 games, and he looks like he's doubtful to play in the 3rd game. Well, then obviously you probably have to shift your strategy and try to win something else.
Yeah, and definitely have to adjust based on who on your team is actually going to be playing. I know I've had Miles Turner on a couple teams, and I actually won one of the weeks with Miles Turner on my team. So I think it's a Miles Turner, Kawhi Leonard. So that other team must have been pretty bad, but
the other team had Chris Paul and
baby. They might have drafted Gordon Hayward and Jeremy Lin as well. But yeah, you got to stay active pretty much every day. You don't have to. It's not like baseball where you have to like get out your spreadsheet and calculate per day, right? A majority of your team is going to stay the same. Your big hitters are always going to play. You're always going to start all your active guys. But, a couple times during the week, you might want to say, all right, here's the standings. Here's what I'm good at. Here's what I need to catch up on. Let me make an adjustment here, a pickup here, adjustment there, a couple times a week. That's pretty much it. It's a lot of people think fantasy basketball, since there's games every day, takes a lot of time and effort. And to me, even having multiple, leagues that I have to manage, right? It's not a huge time sink. I spend way more time looking at box scores and watching basketball.
Oh, I'm with you there. I mean, I maybe look at each team I own, maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes a day, unless I'm trying to make a trade or something. I mean, I just kind of check, see how the standings are going, make sure I have my roster set for tomorrow or today, you know what I mean? And boom, done. I like to do it kind of late at night, and then I just kind of look for tomorrow. Okay, I got all my active players in. That one's good. I'm pretty good in this category, whatever. 5 minutes maybe tops, and I'm out.
Yeah, see, I think it works. You can look after the games are over. You can look in the morning or the afternoon while you're at work and doing nothing, or on your lunch break if you have a job where they force you to actually do work, which sounds really terrible. I feel bad for everyone doing that. But yeah, like it's not a huge time sink. Just check your roster, make sure everybody's starting, and look at your rankings. That's it. It sounds simple, right?
It always sounds simpler than it is.
That is 100% true. So let's get into the waiver wire. This is the middle of the week, and we're going to continue to do a watching the waivers segment. You like that? You like that name for the segment, Tyler?
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
It's natural. But first, I want to ask you something, Tyler. Do you like drafting for fantasy basketball?
Oh, I thought you were going to say just like drafting, just like when people draw out those house plans or whatever they are. I love that, but I love drafting for fantasy basketball.
Oh, well, that's a better question. Do you like drafting like diagrams of buildings?
Oh, I also love that. That's one of my favorite things to do in my spare time.
Wow. Do you like the draft, like when people are forced to go into the armed services?
I have never experienced that, so I will not speak on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I don't like that type of drafting. Not a fan. I'm anti that type of drafting, but I am for drafting for fantasy basketball. It is the best part of the season, but for most people, those drafts are over, and for some people, they didn't really do a very good job with their draft, I assume. I'm hoping a lot of listeners did a pretty good job. But would you like it if you could draft every single day?
I would love that.
To play daily fantasy where you could win cold, hard, sweaty cash.
Well, can it not be sweaty? Can we dry it first at least?
Well, I think it's mostly digital cash. So I guess it won't be cold I guess your computer is cold and hard. Unless, it might be overheating, so it might be hot and hard. But you could still win cash.
Well, how do I do it? Let's hear it.
Yeah, so the way to do this is to play draft.com. It's like what a great URL, by the way. Great snag by the guys over at draft.com. You can either download the app or go to draft.com right now. It is a daily fantasy basketball app. And you play real live snake drafts with other people, just like you do in season long, but you draft every single day. Here's how it works. The draft lasts for one night. You don't have to manage your team. You don't have to do trades or waiver wire stuff. The draft basically lasts a couple minutes, and you don't have to worry about drafting someone who's injured or not playing. You draft players who are playing that single night, And if you end up having the best draft, you end up winning a pretty decent amount of cash. Drafts start for $1. Like this, you can only spend $1. It's pretty cheap. There's no salary caps. And you can play with your friends. You can play with strangers. You can play with people who have lots of money. You can play with very little money. So if you join draft.com today, for our listeners, you will get a free entry to a draft when you make your first deposit if you use the promo code BOXES, BOXES. You can play real money games tonight using that promo code. And for our listeners, if you tweeted us with a screen cap of you signing up for draft.com using the promo code BOXES, we will enter you into a future draft.com draft where you can actually take our money by beating us on draft.com.
You'll definitely take my money.
I don't know, Tyler. I played tonight, and I ended up winning tonight. Joel Embiid was a great pickup this evening. And, I'm liking this draft.com. I like what I like about it is that, in daily, it's a different way to play daily, basically. And in some dailies, how like 30 people might have the exact same roster or a majority of the same roster, and then a couple of their guys get lucky. In this, everyone has a different roster because it's during the draft, you can't pick the same players.
You know what I always despise about daily is when like someone uses the crappiest player who's gonna play like 20 minutes and then he goes off and just like hits 8 of 8 shots and gets him, a crap ton of daily points, and that's what beats you. That always drives me insane. But it doesn't sound like that's gonna happen in draft, right? Because the roster is a little bit smaller. So it's basically primarily just gonna be studs, right?
Yeah, no one's gonna get lucky with a one of those $1,000 player, $2,000.
Yeah,
players.
Dylan Brooks, right, on the first game of the season, like just going off hitting all his shots, right, and then that's not going to happen on draft.
No, so it's a lot more straightforward, and I think it's pretty fun. So go out there today, use the promo code BOXES if you like gambling and you like daily fantasy and you like fantasy basketball and you like this podcast. It helps us out. So go out there today, and if you tweeted us, we will basically set you up so you can take our money, which is seems like a really bad idea on our part, but we're gonna do it.
What's money anyways?
Yeah, no big deal. So let's get into our midweek waiver wire, watching the waivers. Where do you want to begin? I think there's a lot of activity out there going on right now. You have I actually want to start with the point guard situation in Phoenix.
Oh man, so many juicy Phoenix men on this waiver wire. I will say that.
Well, I know you like the juicy men in Phoenix, but I think there's only a couple of those guys that I actually like for a longer term, rest of year type of player. Since the Eric Bledsoe situation is still pending, Mike James and Tyler Ulis really aren't long-term options, in my opinion.
Well, everything you're hearing now, right, is they're going to wait until at least December 15th because there's like 90 more players, right, that signed contracts this year that are eligible to be traded. So, I mean, you're talking another month. I mean, that's
month and a half.
So, I mean, anybody, that might be worth even more than a stream, right? If you can have a player who's worthwhile for a month and a half, that's big money.
So a lot of people made a move on Mike James after his pretty outstanding evening a couple nights ago, or I believe it was last night. 24 points, 5 assists, 4 steals in 29 minutes. Tonight, not that good. 10 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. But it does seem like Mike James is taking the starting position, is taking a bulk of the minutes. I don't think every night's going to be like that 24-point night, but it does seem like he can get you a decent clip of assists and score the ball every once in a while.
Yeah, and what you like, right, is he's playing more minutes than Ulis, so you like that. He's more experienced. He's 27 years old. He played quite a bit in Europe. Another thing you like is he's getting basically 10 shots every night. 1 for 10 tonight, which you don't love. But, I mean, you get 10 shots every night, and you're hitting at a 40% clip, plus a 3-pointer. I mean, that's 9 points right there. That's if you don't go to the line at all. And he shoots free throws in pretty much every game. So it looks like he's going to get you double-digit points pretty much every night. Probably 3 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists. I mean, if you're picking that off the waiver wire, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, this guy is. I think you're looking at his ceiling, right? This is it. You're going to get those types of assists and points, and he's going to be able to produce that for the next month and a half. I don't think you're going to get any. He doesn't have any trade value. He doesn't have any rest of the season value. He doesn't have any dynasty value. This is a temporary plug for your lack of depth at the point guard position.
Yeah, definitely. And at any moment, right, they could shift it to Tyler Ulis. They could shift it to somebody they traded for, if they had decided to move Bledsoe or Tyson Chandler or anybody, right? You keep hearing Tyson Chandler's name being bandied around in the trade rumors too. So, I mean, maybe it doesn't even last a month and a half, but I'm going to pick him up on the off chance that I can get some good production for the next undetermined amount of time.
Yeah, why not? I think whenever that trade comes down, there's going to be a lot of interest in who ends up getting moved there. Tyson Chandler, like you said, part of those rumors. Alex Len becomes a little bit more interesting fantasy-wise if he's going to get 30-some minutes a game, but Dragan Bender has also been getting a little bit more playing time lately. Any interest in either one of those guys, or are you just watching them when it comes to standard leagues?
Well, Lynn, even in limited minutes, right, he's getting 9.5 rebounds in 23 minutes. Now, I don't know that sticks, but I mean, Lynn's proven to be a pretty good permanent producer. I mean, I'm interested in Len in kind of a streaming sense. I don't know that I want to hold him because, I mean, in 23 minutes, it's going to be hard to keep up that big rebounding rate. But if you held him, it wouldn't be probably the worst thing in the world. Even Tyson Chandler, like I mentioned, I mean, 9.7 rebounds a game in 24 minutes. Kind of interested in that. I think, though, that both of those guys' minutes probably go down as the season goes on and they play more Marquise Chris and Dragan Bender. I think that they're just trying to build around those two and not so much Len or Chandler anymore.
Yeah, that's definitely the long-term lookout is that you see that Dragan Bender. Oh, you Dragan Bender. He could be a very interesting fantasy player. His per minute blocks are, I think, the most interesting thing for me coming out of the mouth of the Dragan Bender. And I'd be very interested in seeing how his minutes pan out, considering there's just not a ton of guys out there who block shots this year. I feel like blocks are a little bit down. Maybe not down overall in a sense, but there's not a lot of premier shot blockers out there anymore.
Oh, I'm with you there. Which is, it's difficult, right? It makes every guy who blocks some shots just that much more valuable.
Exactly. And I think it does have to do with the shifting philosophy of the NBA, which is to shoot quicker the shot clock and shoot a lot more threes. So there's a lot less people going to the rim and a lot more people shooting threes.
Oh, I'm with you there. That's definitely for sure. It's always still kind of an adjustment for me when someone like dribbles down there like 5 seconds into the shot clock and just bombs a three. I'm still always like, man, was that really the best play we could have made? Like, it's still an adjustment.
I always wonder on the transition when there's like a breakaway and then it's 2-on-1 and then one guy just runs to the 3-point line. What is this?
I mean, I get it if
What
you're
are you
Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, right? When you can like knock down threes at 40%, but when you're, I don't know, insert guy who hits like 30% of their three-pointers.
You're Justin Holiday.
Yeah, there you go.
Not be shooting. Maybe you shouldn't be shooting that much at all, actually, when there's someone better on your team at shooting. Just throwing it out there. I got some words for the Chicago Bulls, but I will save that for the #Bulls podcast that will be coming out later this week.
I will say this though about old Justin Holiday, man. He's been pretty good for fantasy, albeit not a great basketball player.
If you do not care about your shooting percentage, you are right. He has not been bad.
Hey, man, sometimes you got to take the hits. All right, can I talk about my guy now?
Let's. Who do you got? Who's out there?
I want to give one more plug for him. I've said to pick him up last week. Some of you listened because he's up to 21%, but still far too low. I know the Kings stink. Okay, you're not getting this one past me. I know they've only scored like 85 points in 3 of their last 5 games.
They're barely better than the Bulls.
But Bogdanovich finally starting, playing like a boss, getting you great steal numbers, getting you a few assists, getting you a few rebounds, double-digit points, shooting the ball really well. He's going to keep doing all those things. He's worth owning in your standard league. The minutes are only going to go up. The production is only going to get better. Pick him up now. Hold him. He's worth it.
In the clash of the Bogdans the other night, though, when they went up against the Pacers, the Pacers, Bogdanovich ended up having the better night. But I think I'm with you that the Sacramento Kings Bogdanovich is the better fantasy player, short-term and long-term.
100%. I mean, we've seen the Pacers version, what he can do. Bojan Bogdanovich. I mean, that's a stream guy for me in a standard league. That's not even anything I want to hold. Maybe in a 14-team league, I'll own that, but probably more like, I mean, I'm still not excited about it. Whereas I think Bogdan, even 12-team leagues, he's ownable, holdable. Keep him. I'm telling you.
Yes, like go out to your waivers, see if he's out there. I assume he is because he's not owned in very many leagues.
21% still. I mean, that's just not enough, man. He's 75th in Yahoo's faux 9 category rankings.
A lot of people are out there picking up the Indiana Bogdanovich. Do you think he's standard league relevant?
No. Keeper league, sure. Streamable, yeah. Not holding him.
If you need points, he's a streamer, right?
He's just a points and threes guy, right? I mean, like,
yeah, he's points and threes. He's been getting a steal a game for the last 4 games now, but he's a shooter, and there's a lot of shooters out there. More so than ever, there's points and threes to be had on the waiver wire. I think this is a little bit of a different year.
It's not that though, is it? It's that points, because there's more and more points, right? Those 10 points, right, which seemed like it was okay to pick up on the waiver wire, like, is not as good as that once was.
Yeah, I've definitely had to adjust to the fact that, just scoring is up across the board in the league right now. And so someone who averages like 13 points really isn't that valuable anymore.
Oh, like
Mo Harkless, one of our favorite players, Mo Harkless, I think his value is diminishing a little bit because he's just not getting enough threes. He's not getting enough points. And there's guys out there who, average 17 and 2.5.
Yeah, so his category in those things are diminishing. The king that keeps Mo Harkless in the Mo Harkless territory, I think, is the block that he gets now per game is actually boosting his value because there's not that many guys getting a block a game.
Yeah, he's still treading water out there at the bottom of your standard league, right? But he's not really owned in a lot of leagues right now either.
And here was my ploy for him. He's shooting 37%. So he's just shooting a crap percentage right now. So, yeah, okay, the 8.1 points don't look great, but I really think that that's going to pick up here when he starts knocking his shot down. I mean, he's a 47 shooter for his career on quite a bit of attempts, so I mean, there's no reason to think that he's not going to shoot that eventually. And once he starts shooting that, he's going to get you more than a 3 a game. He's going to get you probably somewhere in the double-digit points range and a steal and a block per game. So kind of a 1-1 guy. I think he's definitely worth owning. And yes, you're right. He is not owned in near enough leagues. I made the case for him. I'm in the last show, 25% owned. I'm telling you, own this guy, man. He's worth it in a standard league.
I'm a fan. And actually, near the end of the game this evening, Al-Farouq Aminu did leave, I believe, with an ankle sprain. So Mo Harkless might be seeing more minutes here in the near future. Be sure to go out to Twitter. And if you're not following, like, an absurd amount of people on Twitter for fantasy basketball, you might want to, because that is a good way to get those injury alerts and to make decisions off of those injuries. And right now, Mo Harkless could be in for a little bit more playing time.
Yeah, I mean, Aminu's been playing a little bit. He's been playing a little bit more 3. Aminu's been playing a little bit more 4. But I think he can definitely shift down to the 4 if need be. Noah Vonleh is coming back too. A lot of people thought that was going to hurt Mo Harkless and Al-Farouq Amino's minutes, but if Al-Farouq Amino's out now, I think that actually only helps Mo Harkless' minutes. So, all right, I'm ready to talk about your Chicago Bulls. Jerian Grant, 15% owned.
Get out of my face, Jerian Grant.
6 assists a game, Moon.
Get out of my face, Jerian Grant. Here's why. Tyler, I'm going to have to go. We usually, sometimes we agree a little too much on this podcast. But today, we were not going to be agreeing.
You don't want 6 assists for your team. You don't want that.
Didn't say that. I don't want Jerian freaking Grant. And this is why. Chris Dunn is back in Chicago. And this evening, I did watch the Bulls game, Bulls versus Heat, and luckily the Bulls were in the game and they lost. So that was a good outcome. And Jerian Grant looked like trash. And honestly, Jerian Grant has looked pretty much like trash for.
He can't shoot, right?
He's not a very good shooter.
He's also not
also not a very good point guard. He gets those assists simply because he's the only one handling the ball.
Yeah, but it's the Rajon Rondo theory, isn't it? Right? If Rondo dominates the ball, Rondo gets the assists, whether he's good or not.
You're 100% right there, but this is why I think this is not going to work for the rest of the season. Chris Dunn looks like the better NBA player. He doesn't look like a point guard, but he looks like the better NBA player. He's a bit more athletic, he's quicker, and he can actually play defense. It is only a matter of time, and I'm actually thinking it's a short amount of time from the stuff coming out of Hoiberg's mouth about wanting to run different guard sets in the rotation. Like, here comes the bullshit rotation from Hoiberg for the rest of the year. But Chris Dunn is going to replace Jerian Grant in the starting lineup.
Okay.
What that does for minutes, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing Chris Dunn is going to play more minutes than Jerian Grant because allegedly Chris Dunn and Larry Markkanen are supposed to be the rebuilding pieces of the future.
So, regardless of that, right? And that, okay, we'll go with that theory. I mean, you're a lot closer to these Bulls than I am. There's still going to be somebody who gets 5 to 6 assists a game. Now, someone's going to have to take his assists, right? If someone takes his minutes, someone's going to have to take his assists. Someone has to hold the ball. Someone's going to make a shot. Someone's going to get assists. So, I mean, Chris Dunn's out there too. Am I wrong about this? So
Chris Dunn should be on your waiver wire as well.
You know what I mean? So if you're telling me Dunn's going to get the minutes, then Dunn's the man I want. If you're telling me it's a Phoenix situation where they're going to split the baby, then we'll talk.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you that there aren't assists to be had in the Chicagoland area. My disagreement is that here pretty soon, Jerian Grant's fantasy value is going to fall. So if you own Jerian Grant right now, might be a good idea to move him if you can.
So who do you want? You got. I mean, I think these may be stream guys, anyways, right? I don't know that you're gonna want to hold.
Be ownable in most leagues, in standard leagues.
So for the next week, let's say you're in a weekly league and you're gonna hold him for next week. Okay, so you're gonna pick him up today, but you can only start him and play him next week. Which man do you want? You want Dunn or do you want Grant? You need assists.
I mean, I think it's actually gonna happen pretty quick. I'm gonna go if I need assists. I'm gonna go with Grant for one more week, and then after that, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go with Dunn the rest of the way.
All right, fair enough, and that helps people, right? Because now you know if you're looking long term for assists, right? Like, I got this guy, and maybe he's starting right now, but he's gonna go back to the bench when Chris Paul gets healthy or whatever. I mean, that's not a great example because James Harden's taking all the assists, but whoever, you know what I mean? Now you can go out and actually get somebody who's gonna get you assists for probably the rest of the season.
And Dunn is not really a point guard either. So
I know for all this talk of
you're not gonna get a ton of point guard. You're not gonna get a ton of assists.
He was the best point guard in that draft, blah, blah, blah. He's so wonderful, blah, blah, blah. Now, he never looks like a point guard to me either. But I still think he can get you 4 or 5 assists, which that matters in the assist category. There's not that many guys knocking around getting you 4 or 5 assists.
That is certainly true. Let's see. Who else you got out there on your list?
Man, this waiver wire is not as sexy as it seems. But there's a lot of like guys I think who could take a step forward. So, got a couple that I wanna wax lyrical about. The first man I'll say about that I still think is criminally underowned and has been playing pretty good lately, and he's actually a little more owned than we were shooting for, but I want to get a minute on him. Tyreek Evans, 55% owned. I think that should just be a lot more.
Freak Tyreek. Love Freak Tyreek.
You know what I mean? I mean, shouldn't he be closer to like 60, 70% owned? I mean, he's just playing well. He's not getting a ton of minutes, but they need somebody to score the ball in that second unit, and he's doing it. I just really think he could be pretty damn valuable the rest of the way. And
Tyreek is definitely a really good fantasy player. And in Memphis, he's got a lot of opportunity. Now, is that team getting healthier? Yes. So are there minutes that might have to go around?
Yeah, but,
sure, but that, I don't think Tyreek's minutes are going to go anywhere.
That's what I mean. Let's not kid ourselves. Wayne Selden should not be taking minutes from Tyreek Evans. I'm sorry. I've seen that guy play basketball. He's not great.
And when Tyreek is on his game, he's a great rebounder, a great assist, good steals, good points. And like I said, Memphis doesn't really have anyone to replace him with. So
and here's the thing.
Why not own him?
I mentioned this in my schedule primer, and here's the thing I love about it. He's playing in back-to-backs, right? So the last couple of years, no one was playing him in back-to-backs. And that guy's kind of hurts your value quite a bit. He's playing in back-to-backs this year for Memphis. He's looking good. He's definitely a guy I would own.
Another guy that I'm kind of interested in, who's owned in about 55% of leagues as well, is Markieff Morris. Now, we kind of talked about injuries in the last episode and when to go out and get someone who's been injured or who, in this case, suspended and injured. It seems like he will be making his debut on Friday against the Cavs.
He did sit the game out this evening for the injury, for the suspension, correct?
Yes. Okay. So tonight was his suspension game.
Which means he had to be healthy enough to play because that's how the NBA does it. Which means Friday he should go.
And so he will be playing Friday. I think if he's available right now, and like we talked about earlier in a head-to-head league, I know Friday's a busy day, right? But maybe you need some points, maybe you need some rebounds, and Markieff Morris can provide those things. I'm not sure what Washington is going to do, if they're going to shove him right back into the starting lineup. But here's what happened. Otto Porter did not play this evening. So Kelly Oubre got the start, but Kelly Oubre's value is now in question too. So now we got a real interesting situation here in Washington.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. I would pick up Morris now just because even if they kind of bring him back slowly, right? Only play him like 20, 25 minutes on Friday. I think that once he ramps back up to over 30, which he's going to get, he's going to be worth owning. And so if you got to hold him for a couple of subpar games, I mean, that's the bullet you got to bite.
Yeah, in fact, like I know Al-Farouq Aminu has been playing pretty well, but he twisted his ankle. Maybe he's out for a little bit. Watch the news on that, like I said. And
plus, Vonleh's coming back, like I mentioned, so I would definitely make that move.
I think I would take Markieff Morris right now and over Al-Farouq Aminu. Al-Farouq has been playing well, but I just don't see this being a breakout year for Al-Farouq Aminu. He's off to a hot start, and that's exactly what that is. He's definitely a sell high type of guy. And Markieff Morris, we all know that Markieff Morris can actually produce, very solid top 80 fantasy value.
Yeah, and that matters, right? Yeah, I'd definitely be searching for that. I'll mention a cut candidate now. 61% Buddy Hield. That's not going to work out for you people. Just get rid of him.
What happened to Buddy Hield out there in Sacramento? You're following the Kings pretty closely.
They finally found out Buddy Hield can't play like a defense, I think. Garrett Temple can.
That will do it.
You know what I mean? Garrett Temple can. So Garrett Temple's getting minutes. They're playing the 2-point guard lineup with Fox and Hill, right? Because Fox has looked like perhaps their best player. I mean, Him, Willie Cauley-Stein, and Bogdanovich are the only 3 players on the Kings that have played well so far. Skal Labissière has, but the minutes have been so small in so games that it's hard to say he's been real good.
Yeah, that's really been depressing me there. You know how we both like the Pascal Labissière. We both like that guy a lot and think he could be a very good fantasy basketball player. And apparently the Kings are passing on playing the Labissière.
Well,
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that. You like that? You like that play on words, Tyler? That's pretty good.
It was great.
That's quality play on words, Tyler.
Here's the thing that drives me crazy about Jaeger, man, is it's his old boys club, right? He signs Zach Randolph and thinks he's got to start him and play him these huge minutes. As a power forward, when even Memphis, who had Zach Randolph for how many years, Mike, knew last year they couldn't play Randolph at power forward anymore because he can't guard any 4s anymore because they're smaller and quicker. He can't guard them. But yet Jaeger keeps playing him at the 4. He's just the center now, and you don't want to play him over Willie Cauley-Stein. So at most, Zach Randolph should get like 15 minutes a night.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that's still happening. It doesn't make any sense to me.
And so that's driving me crazy. But, I mean, Buddy Hield is what he is, right? He can make a 3-pointer. He's got a good shot. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's useful in some spaces, but let me think about this. He's a Lou Williams type, right? He gets like 20 minutes a night and can fill it up in that 20 minutes. But the bad part is he's not great at creating his own shot, so he's just a spot-up Lou Williams. You know what I mean? Like, he's nothing, but then he doesn't play any defense, so he just really gets hard to play. I don't think you want to own him for the bulk of the season. I just don't love it. I was trying to tell people not to draft him, and now I just don't see it turning around.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, and like we said, he's not a multi-dimensional fantasy player. So why are you putting collateral, like putting up value into Buddy Hield? You know?
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's just like, I mean, what could he possibly do? That's what I keep asking people who want to hold him. Like, what could he possibly do? And I can't really think of anything that sounds great.
No, I don't either. I want to talk about one player who's owned in 32% of Yahoo leagues. This guy plays for the Brooklyn Nets. He used to play for the Chicago Bulls, and apparently he's a pretty decent point guard. I wonder why the Bulls last year and this year would not want someone who's a pretty decent point guard. I'm talking about Spencer Dinwiddie. Ended up playing 30 minutes against Denver and 22 minutes against Phoenix. Is scoring pretty well, getting some assists and some steals. And, Brooklyn is really looking for someone to play in that Jeremy Lin spot now that Jeremy Lin, says he's going to be out for the rest of the season. And it looks like this is Spencer Dinwiddie's turn. What do you think about him in the short term and also in the long term?
Well, I had my brother convinced for a long time that this guy's name was Dimwit, so that made me feel good about myself. I don't think Spencer Dimwit.
That's not a good sign for your brother. He also might be a dimwit.
He definitely is. Don't hate on him. So what changed minutes relatively per game he got last year over the time, and the numbers are all significantly better. So that's kind of a worrying sign, right? In the sense that I don't know that he got that much better. So maybe it's just some hot shooting and some big scoring.
Wasn't that Brooklyn team a bit of a mess last year, though?
This year, I mean, Kenny Atkinson sticks his finger up in the air in the morning and decides who he's going to play that night by which way the wind's blowing.
He is a trash person. I agree with that.
The thing that worries me about owning any of these Brooklyn guys, and I talked about in this week, they only played 2 games, so obviously none of them were super enticing, but it's like, I mean, just look at the game log. 18, 32, 22, 30, 22. It's like he can't decide who to play. And that's always worrying because maybe the week you pick him up is the week he decides to give it 22, 22, and 22, and they only play 3 games. And then you're going, well, crap, I didn't get that much value out of this guy because Coach Atkinson decided that somebody else should play. But then the next week when you drop him, he gets 30, 30, and 30, and you look like an idiot. So he's just in the stream category for me just because I don't know how many minutes he's going to get, and that bugs me. The assists have been nice, though, so I might hold him just for the assists alone, right? If he can give me 4 or 5 assists a game, that would make him somewhat ownable in a standard league. But
would you rather own Spencer Dinwiddie over the next 3 weeks or Jerian Grant?
Well, given Grant's playing time in the last 2 games, I'm worried about that too, right? Because that was only in the high to low 20s.
Yeah.
So I think Dinwiddie might, as crazy as it sounds, he might have a higher minute ceiling than Grant.
I'd rather take a flyer on Dinwiddie, just given what I know about the Chris Dunn situation. I'd rather take a flyer on Dinwiddie to see what pans out there. And Dinwiddie's a little bit of a hotter hand. Like, what you're seeing Jerian Grant do right now is probably like as good as he can play.
I'm with you there. And Dinwiddie's younger than you think, right? It seems like he's been around a little bit, but he's only 24. So I got another guy that I was going to mention that I think I might rather own than both of them.
Well, let me hear it.
And he plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. He is one TJ McConnell.
Oh, I like TJ McConnell.
Now, since Fultz has been out, 28, 31, 26, 26 minutes, he's going to get you assists. He knows he can't shoot the ball great, so he gets in where he can make his shots. He's going to shoot a good percentage on relatively minimal attempts. He's never going to shoot free throws. His first rookie season, we had the free throw watch on the Daily Fantasy Basketball podcast when he was going to shoot his first free throw. He shot in 2 free throws so far this season, and that's it.
Wow, it's a career high.
He doesn't get fouled. So don't be expecting that. But he can always get you a few rebounds. He's going to get you good assists. He's going to get you like a steal a game. I'm actually really kind of interested in McConnell. I would rather have him over both Grant, Dinwiddie, and Chris Dunn, I think.
I think I'd rather have him in a situation where I'm looking at assists and I need just assists. Because he's not, like you said, he's not going to score a ton. He's not going to really help you.
But all those other
categories
could actively hurt your field goal percentage, I think.
That is true.
So there's a knock. He's going to get more rebounds than most of those guys, if not all those guys, because he consistently can get like 3 a game when he's playing that kind of minutes. Is Dinwiddie going to get that? Dinwiddie's got a bunch of games where he's gotten 0.
That's true.
And McConnell, I mean, he's going to get you like 2 turnovers if you're caring about that, but so are all those other guys. So
what's McConnell's playing time look like? Especially in game. I mean, we have to go look at this, right? What does it look like when Embiid's not playing? Is he playing more or less, or is he pretty much getting a standard?
Yes, I mean, he's relatively right in there in that 26 to 30 range. He's going to stick in that. I think all the way until Fultz comes back, right? So they just said Fultz was out for 3 weeks at the beginning of this week. So, I mean, for the next 3 weeks, I think he's got some solid value. Then once Fultz comes back, it gets down to like 18 minutes and you probably don't want him. But, I mean, with these waiver wire guys, you're looking for short-term pops anyways. Because someone else is going to pop out and you're going to want them more, right? Because, I don't know, X player is going to get injured and you're going to want that person.
Yeah, and actually, I would expect Fultz to be out a little bit longer than they're letting on, with the fact that he just looks like he needs to be fixed, and I don't think they're going to rush him back. And so, take a flyer on TJ McConnell. Why not? Definitely over Dinwiddie. I'd probably take him over Dunn as well in the medium term, I guess. I guess it would just be the short term.
I'm with you, man. I really like TJ McConnell. 23% owned in Yahoo leagues. Definitely worth it.
That is far too few. And if you need assists, that's your guy right there.
That's your Huckleberry.
All right, I want to talk to you about a hot name. It's going to get hotter as people look at the box scores tomorrow morning. 14% owned in Yahoo leagues. This man, his name is Malik Monk. 25 points tonight, 5 3-pointers. 2 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. He's a one-dimensional player.
That is very much correct.
but is he a quality one-dimensional player?
Quality one-dimensional player.
Is he
For
worth
fantasy?
streaming in a standard 12-team league? Is he worth streaming over other guys who will give you threes and points?
That's a good question. I'm always worried a little bit about rookies, especially early on in the season, early for the year. But he's getting 10 shots a game, which you like to see, right?
He's not afraid of shooting.
Yeah, he's gonna fire it up, man. Not yet, but perhaps in a few weeks. I'm a little more interested in, because I think we always see kind of like for this first month or two, rookies often shoot poorly. And he had one of these games on the 25th of October, right, where he had 17 points, shot 50% from the field. He had a similar game to what he had last night. And then, boom, he's back down to doing almost nothing again. Not the worst stream, I suppose, for points and threes, but I'll be more interested in December than I am in November.
I think people are getting a little too excited about a guy who shoots 35%.
Yeah. But,
and who goes to the line a half a free throw a game.
But like a lot of rookies,
not
right?
even most games.
We see this with a lot of rookies where that field goal percentage kind of trends up in every month, right? Every month, a little better, a little better, a little better, a little better, a little better. So he shot 29% in the first month. Maybe it's 31, then it's 33, then it's 35, then it's close to 40 by the end. So at that point, maybe he's worth it at that volume, but you got to figure Nick Batum comes back by then too. So I'm definitely not getting excited.
Yeah, that's a great point. Nick Batum, by the time Malik Monk might be consistent and providing you a good clip of three-pointers, Nick Batum might eat into those minutes pretty quickly.
I'm going to take my own horn again. Whoa, go ahead.
No, I got it. Well, I got one more who's in the same mold.
All right.
In less leagues, only owned in 12% of leagues, but plays 22 minutes a game for the Utah Jazz, and that's Donovan Mitchell, who also had a stellar game this evening, closed down the game in the fourth quarter and in overtime, 28 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 3-pointers.
You know what I like a little bit more about him than Malik Monk is I think he can create a shot a lot better.
Malik Monk is definitely a catch and shoot type of guy, but Donovan Mitchell this evening, I was watching some of that game, was getting to the line, was forcing the issue and creating shots, like you said, instead of just catching and shooting on the perimeter.
Oh, this dude can ball, man. He can play. He's a little undersized in the sense that I think he's a little bit short to be a shooting guard in the defensive scheme of things. And I don't know that he's got the foot speed maybe to guard some of these super elite point guards. So that could limit his minutes on certain nights, right? If the defense is bad, when we see that a lot, right? But, man, this guy can play. I really like to watch him.
He's someone to keep an eye on, but in a standard league, I don't think he's ownable. Barring injury, I'm not sure he's going to be ownable the rest of the season. Same with Malik Monk. Neither one of these are going to be ownable in a 12-team league. These are more guys you'd want to stream. If I had to put my money on one of these guys being ownable, though, it'd be Donovan Mitchell.
I'm with you there.
All right, who did you want to talk about?
All right, I want to toot my own horn. 1 second.
You're always tooting your own horn, Tyler.
Because this is guy you fought me on, and I want to tell you that you're wrong.
Here we go. You love
Lance Stevenson. Remember in our Pacers preview when you tried to tell me Lance was going to be good?
I do not recall that.
You definitely did. I would like to play back the tape for you right now.
Senator, I do not recall that.
If we had that queued up. Mr. Lance Stevenson playing 20 minutes a game, shooting horrendous. That half a steal might help you out, though, Mike. I hope you're enjoying it.
That's not bad. Half a steal a game. Yeah, Lance is not making anybody dance. And yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, poor Lance, man. I think he's just this could be the end. This could be the closer on his
Well,
career here.
not only does he not have it, right? He's also on a team that magically became really kind of good. And let's actually talk about one of the players on this team, uh, Domantas Sabonis. This guy,
Lots of bones.
the Saboner, he is really just is balling with Miles Turner out so much that I just think they're going to have to figure out a way to get him on the court more and maybe even play him with Miles Turner. I'm not sure their games really align, but this dude is owned in 62% of leagues, which is drastically up simply because of his play lately. He's averaging 13 points, 11 rebounds. 11 rebounds.
Well, he's a double-double every night with assists.
Yeah, with his decent assists.
Defensive stats, but I mean, shooting a great field goal percentage, free throw percentage is not completely horrendous. It's not good, 65%, but it's not Andre Drummond's 40.
He's almost like a fully actualized Alex Len.
Yeah, I'll buy that. The thing
for Alex Len might get a block every once in a while, and it doesn't seem like Sabonis is going to be getting you a block again.
McMillan says, right, he wants to play those two together and see how that works and all that, but I just don't know that Sabonis. I mean, it's the same thing we talked about a little bit on. Does Sabonis have the foot speed to be guarding some of these faster guys? Like, I don't know, former Pacer Paul George or Carmelo.
Well, I don't think he's going to have to guard some of those players, right? I just think you putting him at the 4 with Turner might just. I don't think those two styles of play gel well. In fact, I think they might even overlap and be on the same parts of the court, or even worse, it would force Miles Turner to play more around the perimeter while Domantas gets the rebounds. So that would actually hurt Miles Turner's value.
Yeah, and I mean on the periphery, right? Like Turner probably plays like somewhere around 30, and Al Jefferson has been getting like 18 minutes a game, even that game when Turner was healthy. So you got to figure those minutes should probably go to Sabonis. So if Turner's at 30, or Sabonis gets those 18, I mean, plus he'll play some at power forward next to Turner. I mean, I think he's going to have some value. The question is going to be how much. I don't know that he's going to shoot 67.9%. So that's going to drop the numbers down right there as it is. I think the assists probably could go away when Miles Turner comes back. I think they're going to ask Miles Turner to do that bit of ball handling he's doing now. And he doesn't get you anything in blocks and steals. So I think it dries up when Turner comes back pretty hard, but he could still be a quality guy for rebounds.
Can we pour one out for Al Jefferson? That guy, man, that guy has had a great career.
Yeah, he has, but the sun has set on that day, huh?
I know it's a sad sight to see, but Al Jefferson was a great player. Go out there, all the kids listening, go out there and watch some Al Jefferson highlights on YouTube. Actually, once you're done with that, go watch some Muggsy Bogues highlights. If you want to go old school, man, Muggsy Bogues was filthy, absolutely filthy.
I mean, I thought that was going to be a Chicago Bulls throwback, and it wasn't.
No, man, Muggsy was sick. Shout out to the Chicago cab driver who put me on to Muggsy Bogues highlights. So shout out to him.
Mike talking to random Chicago Bulls cab drivers.
Yo, man,
that's gonna be our next episode right there. Mike talks to random Chicago Bulls cab drivers.
When you gotta go halfway across town and traffic's bad, you're gonna talk basketball with your cab driver. It's just the way it works.
Man, I had a cab driver once. I went to Baltimore and I got in this cab, and we were going to the Orioles game, and he sped down the berm of the highway, and he leaned back to me and said, "You don't make any money as a cab driver if you follow the rules of the road."
Sounds like that's a good cab driver right there. I would have tipped him well.
So we got to the Orioles game in time to see it. Well, many people waited on the highway as this man drove down the berm. So shout out to that guy. He was a cool dude.
Yeah, man. I hope you tipped him well because he deserved it. That's the more dangerous I feel in the cab, the more I know this guy is doing his job.
So yeah, man, he got a healthy tip for that because we were kind of running late for the game. Shout out to that dude.
You know, these days you don't take cabs, you take Ubers, but tip your Uber drivers if they're driving dangerously too. Good for them. I got one more guy.
All right, let's do it.
53% owned. Plays for the Orlando Magic. Jonathan Simmons. Kind of an interesting character. Kind of been playing really well over the last few games. Is playing enough minutes to be interesting. And Frank Vogel likes him.
Oh man, that could be the kiss of death right there. I was interested until you said Frank Vogel liked him.
I think Vogel's been doing a pretty good job. Orlando Magic are winning games.
Yeah, and Simmons looks like he's going to be a good steals guy, right? So you like that? He's at least giving you something in the defensive stats.
Unlike a lot of guys we talked about tonight, Simmons is someone who produces across the board.
Yeah, other than the blocks category, he's got some numbers everywhere, which you'd like to see. I'm kind of in on Simmons. Now, the question is, what does Simmons shoot for the season, right? He's shooting 53% from the field right now. I mean, does that stick? I mean, man, I don't know. He shot 42 last year, but then he shot 50 the year before that. So I'm kind of confused on.
Well, I guess it depends on who he's playing with, right?
Well, he makes a lot of drives to the basket, right? So that's always a positive. I mean, that's just the higher percentage shot. Man, I have mixed feelings about him. I'm definitely willing to ride a hot streak here and see where that goes.
I think it's worth taking a flyer on him in most leagues, and especially in 12-team leagues. Why not? What do you got to lose here? You know, you're gonna get nothing special here. Like there's no like outlier. He's not getting like 7 blocks a game or anything like that. But across the board, other than blocks, he's a solid player.
Here's the worrying thing for me. Okay, if you look at his field goal attempts per the percentage per the distances, he's shooting the lowest amount from 0 to 3 feet that he's ever shot, and he's shooting more 10 to 16 feet and 16 feet to the 3-point line. That's never good.
I am going to throw out a small sample size alert, though.
That's true, but you don't love a man falling in love with his mid-range jumpers, right? So you got to hope that trend kind of switches around. He's shooting 57% from 3 to 10 feet. That's not going to keep up.
I mean, that's if he can't keep that up, which I don't think he can. But
and he's shooting 60 from 16 to the 3-point line.
I think you can look at that in two ways, right? Like, and I think it's a little bit of both. That number probably goes down, his mid range, but you would think his short range goes up based on the short.
That's what you got to hope for. And he's shooting 50% from 3 so far this season, which is definitely not going to hold because he's not Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or any of those guys.
No, that's not going to hold. But he is worth getting you about a 3 a game.
Yeah, and this is the kind of guy where instead of just cutting him after his next game, I think I'd hold him for a little bit, right? He's shown some value, and let's see where it goes. And if he has 2 or 3 bad games in a row, then I'd probably go, all right, it was nice knowing you, John.
Is DJ Augustine? He played this evening. He only played 13 minutes. I think he ended up injuring himself.
He did, in fact, injure himself. You are correct about
that. Let's talk about that then. Who's going to play point guard here? Because Elfrid Payton's out too.
Yeah. So we're kind of getting in precarious territory for the Magic, right? Golly, 6-2 though. Shout out to them for that.
Yeah, respect. Terrence Ross played 27 minutes tonight. Even Mario Hezonja, whose player option did not get picked up. Take note, whoever picked up Cameron Payne's player option, that was a dumb idea. Mario Hezonja, who's not going to be on the Orlando Magic next year, played
Here's
12
my
minutes
question,
tonight.
and maybe you can answer this, maybe you can't. Is there a date for that? Because they said with the Philly thing that Philly's not going to pick up Okafor's player option, okay? But if he gets traded, things could change. So can someone else then?
I think you can pick that player option up until, if my NBA 2K knowledge is anything to fall back on, I believe it's sometime in February.
Okay, so that's why. I'm not super huge on all that, the cap and all that, you know.
Yeah, then again, I feel like there was a date recently. That's why all these things are being announced right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought. I thought it was like now. So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that. So you got to think Shelvin Mack plays, right? At least some minutes. And then did they just kind of go with one of those faux point guard lineups where they put out a bunch of wings and guards and just kind of let everyone, John Simmons and all that?
I think Shelvin Mack might be worth a stream if you need assists as well. You know, I think he, in extended minutes, has looked somewhat decent when it comes to fantasy wise, right? Not in real life. But you could, like you said, see a Fournier Ross.
The thing that hurts them, right, is they play on Friday games. So that's not great. And then they play on Sunday. And there's a bunch of games. So I mean, maybe that's one you don't want, just in the sense that you probably maybe not going to get to use them. Games on Sunday, there's 12 on Friday.
So, yeah, you might not need him.
So does he even crack your lineup? You'd have to look and see that before I would pick him up.
I think I'd be in a pretty deep league for him to crack your lineup, but Shelvin Mack might be a good pickup in deeper, in big leagues, deeper leaguds.
Right, that's definitely a short-term move. I mean, once he come back, he's
super temporary. All this, let's not even talk about long-term. Let's not even. I feel like our listeners are smart enough for us not even to have to mention that Shelvin Mack is not a rest of the year type of player.
Forgot about that.
Is there anyone else you want to talk about tonight, Tyler? Do we hit all the high points and mostly low points?
Yeah, I mean, I think that about covers it. I think we covered a lot of guys that are kind of fringy, and hopefully it's helped people, you know, make some moves and win the weeks, man. That's all that matters. Just win your weeks.
Yeah. So we're going to be running a waiver wire type of podcast in the middle of the week, every week, hopefully, depending on our schedules. And hopefully that allows you to, based on the strategy that we talked about earlier in this podcast, win your week and adjust your lineups accordingly in your head-to-head leagues. And we'll also talk about rest of the year type of stuff as well. And if you have any feedback or anything else you'd like to hear, you could tweet at us and and let us know. Let us know what you actually want us to talk about. We take feedback pretty seriously and we respond very quickly. Tyler, where can we tweet at you?
You can tweet at me at Watsy4444.
Perfect. And you can get at me at Watch the Boxes, all one word, on Twitter. And like I said, if you go to draft.com or you download the Draft app and you want to play against us and take our money, take a screenshot and tweet at us using the promo code BOXES to sign up for draft.com, and we will make sure we get into draft with you so you can take our money.
You will take mine, I'm telling you. I'm not good at it.
I'm gonna win. I'm just saying it. You're not taking my money, listeners. You're not taking any of my money. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna take your money. It's gonna be a great endeavor for me. It's gonna boost my financial situation by taking the listeners' money. I can't wait.
Wait, Mike Catro, the first draft millionaire. I can see it already.
Yeah. People will stop listening if I take their money. So maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? So yeah, we appreciate you guys listening. Like I said, if you got feedback, let us know. And if you really, if you enjoy the podcast, please rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you download the podcast. It really helps us get visibility. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, take people's phones and download the podcast. Sign up for draft using the promo code BOXES. And I think that's it. You got anything else to plug, Tyler?
That's it for me, man.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a good one.